Every who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot, but the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now, please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be, perhaps, that his shoes were too tight. But I think that the most likely reason of all may have been all that his heart was two sizes too small. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the Who's, staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm lighted windows below in that town, for he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now, hanging a mistletoe wreath, and they are hanging their stockings. He snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas. It's practically here. Then he growled, with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming. I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming. For tomorrow, he knew, all the Who, girls and boys, would wake bright and early, and they rushed for their toys, and then, oh the noise! Oh the noise! Noise, noise, noise! That's one thing he hated. The noise. Noise, noise, noise. Then the Who's, young and old, would sit down to a feast, and the feast, and the feast, and the feast, 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 feast. They would feast on Who pudding, and rare Who roast beast, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least. And then they do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together, with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Who's would start singing, and they sing, and they sing, and they sing, 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 sing. And the more the Grinch thought of his Who Christmas sing, I must stop the whole thing. Why, for 50 years I've put with it now. I must stop the Christmas from coming. But how? And then he got an idea. An awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. I know just what to do. The Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quickly Santa Claus hand and a coat, and he chuckled and chuckled. What a great Grinchy trick! With his coat and his hat, I look just like Saint Nick. Oh, but all I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer are scarce, there was none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No! The Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max. Then he took some red thread, and he tied a big horn on the top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on the ramshackle sleigh, and hitched old Mac. Then the Grinch said, "Gidap!" and the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Who's lay a snooze in that town. All their windows were dark. Quiet snow filled the air. All the Who's were all dreaming sweet dreams without care. When he came to the first little house on the square, "This is stop number one," the old Grinchy Claus hissed, and he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch. But if Santa Claus could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once for a moment or two. Then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where the little Who stockings all hung in a row. These stockings are the first things to go. Then he slittered and slunk, with a small most unpleasant, around the whole room, and he took every present, pumpkins and bicycles, roller skates, drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorn, and plums, and he stuffed them in the bags. Then the Grinch, very nimbly, stuffed all the bags, one by one, up the chimney. Then he slunk to the icebox. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beast. He cleaned out the icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took the last can of Who hatch. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee. And now I will stuff up the tree. And the Grinch grabbed the tree, and he started to shove, when he heard a small sound like the coo of a dove. He turned around fast, and he saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou who was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter, who got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, "Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why?" But you know, that old Grinch was so smart and so slick. He thought up a lie. He thought of it quick. "Why, my sweet little thought?" The fake Santa Claus lied. "There's a light on this tree that will light on one side, so I'm taking it home to my workshop. My dear, I'll fix it up here. Then I'll bring it back." And his fifth fooled the child. Then he patted her head, and he got her a drink, and he sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stopped up the tree. Then the last thing he took was the log for the fire. Then he went up the chimney himself, the old liar. On their walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire, and the one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb, that even too small for a mouse. Then he did the same thing to the Who's house. Then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who's mouses. It was dawn. All the Who's still obeyed. All the Who's still as a news. When he packed up his sled, packed it out with their presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags, and the tins, the trimmings, the trappings, 3,000 feet up the side of Crumpet, he rode with his load to the tip-top to dump it. "Pooh-pooh to the Who's!" He was grinchishly humming. "They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two, then the Who's down in Who will all cry, 'Boo! Hoo!' That's a noise," grinned the Grinch, "that I simply must hear." So he paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his ear, and he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started low, then it started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why? The sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so. But it was merry. Very. He sat down at Whoville. The Grinch pulled his eyes. Then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing, without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other, it came just the same. And the Grinch His Grinch's feet ice cold in the snow. How could it be so? It came with no ribbons, it came with no tags, it came with no packages, boxes or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till the puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, or perhaps, means a little bit more. And what happened then? Well, in who will they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day? And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light, and he brought back the toys and the food for the feast. And he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. Ladies and gentlemen, the moral of the story is